more sessions.
Mike Owens here. Today I'm joined by Caolan Loughran, who returns to action, UFC Atlantic City, 30th of March. Caolan, great to sit down and chat finally. How are things with you today?
Very good, lad, very good. Saturday afternoon, week's training done, so for a couple of days to relax now, so good, feeling good.
We've just been pestering Caolan trying to get some footage of his hard S&C on Saturday morning. I want to take you back a little bit. I saw a couple of weeks ago on your Instagram you spent about 3 weeks over in Arizona at Fight Ready. What was that experience like for you?
Just unbelievable, lad. Just a great experience, a great life. Like, I came after Christmas, I got a one-way flight to the west coast of America to go train with a mat full of UFC guys. Colin's pushed me. He says, "Go! If you can go, absolutely." So I went for 3.5 weeks. With, I would say, if you're like a welterweight or a bigger guy, Killcliff is probably the main now. But at my size, I would say it's probably the biggest in the world. It was literally about 15 to 20 UFC flyweights and bantamweights. It was unbelievable setup. The coaches put so much time into me, but just a grateful, lad. Just a really good experience to go over there. Bit of sun in January, and to live that it was class, lad. Good to mix up too with new guys, and especially that after like a loss. Not that you ask questions about yourself or anything like that there, but to be on the mat with UFC guys every day, prove something to yourself, maybe. Do you know what I mean? So that was cool, more than anything.
Has life changed for you since you've become a UFC fighter at all?
Yeah, big time. Like, not so much in Liverpool, but in Northern Ireland, because I wouldn't really go out or anything much, so I wouldn't really get the chance to drink. Not that I want, but I don't do that. But over at Christmas, I was out, and my mum was like, "What the fuck's going on here?" It was a bit different, because in Northern Ireland now the participation levels in MMA wouldn't be as high as say Liverpool here, but the fandom is like, especially like young lads, like everybody watches the UFC. So now it's definitely changed, but I expected that, you know, from a long time ago. I always dreamt to be in the UFC. I always dreamt to be a way bigger star than I am now when I got there, but it's nothing too heavy. Certainly not in Liverpool. When I come over here, it's a big change, but back home, definitely a difference. I
don't suppose much has changed in this gym. I don't suppose Colin would let much change, let it get too much to your head. I just want to get your thoughts on your relationship with your head coach, Colin Heron, and what kind of he means to you on this journey. Well,
absolutely not. He said basically beat for UFC titles, so I'm low key for here. But no, it's pretty hard to sum up what Colin Heron's done for me. Like, I moved here very green as an amateur 5 years ago. 5 years ago, just a couple of weeks ago, £170 in the bank, a one-way flight to Liverpool, no accommodation, basically homeless, slept in literally a room like this, like a wee room with a bunk bed above a Brazilian boy, and come the whole way through amateur, the whole way through early pro, the whole way through winning the Cage Wars title out in Rome, together, all these camps, now in the UFC, walking out, 20,000 people booing in Paris. And you actually see my walkout as they're all booing. I turn around to Colin and goes, "They're a fucking lively bunch, aren't they?" And he tries to be all stoic, but he kind of half laughed. So no, it's been I still think I'm in like level 1 here where I expect my career to go, but some men just find their click with like fighters, coaches. I say he sent me out there for 3 weeks in America, and that's something I'd love to do for the rest of my career. Then we gaps between fights and that, but now I'm here until the day I go out, lad. And also I love Liverpool. I love coming over here. Actually, when I came back, I was saying to Colin something about Liverpool, just probably because of the way I've come from amateur the whole way to the UFC here. It's like something cleansing about it. Something about when I get the flight here, it's like I just flick a switch. It's like it's just associated with like high level MMA, hard work, which is actually, I was saying that it's actually funny because most people come to Liverpool for the exact opposite, don't they? They come to Liverpool for a party, but now it's just very grateful to have a man with that type of experience. And when I was actually my dad originally, whenever it was Ali messaged me as I was an amateur that would I be interested in coming. And my dad was successful in what he done in his job, and he says if you want to make it in this game, them boys are proven. You know what I mean, their numbers don't lie. I'm the 11th guy to the UFC. We've had Till competed for a UFC world title. Tom came from, he was 12 years old right through to when he's now interim. But it's no fluke where the gym's at, we're sat, you know.
Whilst we were preparing for today, we came across, I think it was an article or an interview of Colin's, or it was something related to Colin, and we saw that for some fighters like Till, he needs a bollocking to wake him up. With some fighters like Tom, he needs his arm put around him, he needs control, and he needs talking to. I'm wondering where on that scale you fit in. Are you the guy who needs the bollocking, or the guy who needs the kind of soothing chat?
I think I'm pretty good that way. Like, I don't know, I'm pretty self-motivated. Like, when Colin has to do something to do it, but like if I thought there was a fucking stretch I could do that would make me better, if I thought there was a way I could Colin is after me and him's after buying some fucking £100 bed sheet. I don't even know what the fuck I didn't know what it was, and he told me to buy it and I instantly bought it. I take his word for whatever he says, but I'm really self-motivated, and I honestly give this sport every single thing I have. Like, I discipline inside the gym and outside the gym, so I don't know, you maybe have to ask him that question, but I don't be eating Five Guys like Till does, I know, like he famously says, but no, I'm pretty good that way, you know what I mean?
You mentioned Paris, I want to talk about it. Obviously, you made your UFC debut under, let's be honest, less than ideal circumstances with the changes on fight week. Can you just give me an overall reflection of your experience of UFC debut, and specifically about the change midweek?
Highs and lows of a fight game, lad. It's like it's almost like until you have a guy in front of you in the sport, you can't always believe it's going to happen. It's like it's so many variables. Like, I don't know. Obviously, well, I only signed with the UFC. It was it was the 19th of the tattoo on my neck of the day. 5.5 weeks before the fight, which is a relatively short camp anyway. It was kind of limbo from winning the Cage Wars title. If there was kind of back and forth with a contender and just getting in, Colin got me in. 5.5 weeks, relatively short camp, but with that was like a fight offer. So we had the camp for Yanis Gamori. With being signed, it was to fight Gamori that night. So we had 5.5 weeks to prepare for Gamori. Camp was going well. Was, I thought, a good matchup. I thought it was kind of the Ian Gary Paddy Pimblett matchmaking. For being honest, I thought I was getting a bit of a push for Gamori. Was very confident going into that. What night was it? It was the Monday night then. There was like a backlog coming out of the UK and Manchester for all the flights, and our flight was cancelled next morning. I was like, oh my god, what a fucking, this is a handle, I'm not going to get to Paris. All flights were cancelled. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Then I got a phone call from Colin at about 11 p.m. So we have a problem. I was like, I'm seeing this is fucking brutal. He's like, no, he says, this fucker can't make weight. So it wasn't even to do with the flights, it was the opponent changes. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And he goes, they want us to fight Laplace because his fight fell through a bantamweight. And I was just like, just a stupid cocky lad. I was like, oh, no bother, let's fight him. Didn't know who Laplace was, should have. That's not good enough for me, because I know everybody. Even from like amateur, I'll keep an eye on if you're a bantamweight. I know most guys. For some reason, I didn't know the guy had won the RS and GMC title and had been in the UFC. Didn't know him, but I goes, fuck, I'll take it. Then again, we were meant to be in Paris on the Tuesday morning, but there was no flight, so I got to Paris then about 1 a.m. Tuesday night. Got the late flight from out of Manchester, and got one session in preparing for Laplace. Kind of half watched them on the plane. Fought a very experienced guy, good record, very tricky style on 3 days' notice for anyone in the UFC top 15. I know that for a fact, and came up short, close. I can't watch myself back even when I won the title, the Cage War title stuff. I can't never watch myself back. Never, after you like pick a few things, pick a few holes, it's almost like OCD. Like, I'll have Twitch watching, I can't watch it. But it was close. But I'd say, again, being home at Christmas and then over social media, I'd say close to 1,000 people have told me they thought I won. But I'm not salty. I don't. If you thought people thought, I could see 100% why you think Laplace won. Came down to that last round. I gave him the first. I gave me the second. And then, if I'm being honest, I probably now, in that last time I watched it, again, that was back in the end of September. I thought I probably won the third. But if you thought he won it, no problem. I don't really mind. Fight game, lad. It's a fucking bastard. And if you're not completely tapped up here, it'll break you. And that's just the game. You have to be literally nuts and move on, simple as that.
famous Irishman called John Kavanagh once said, "You either win or you learn." Now, obviously, that's a different situation because of the caveat of the opponent change. But do you agree with that statement? And if so, what was the key things that you learned from that experience?
Oh, jeez. How long have you got? I believe you win and learn. Or you win or learn. You learn regardless. You know what I mean? That the game when I won the Cage Wars title, I treated that like a loss. I did not fight well. I fought well in the second round, fought terribly in the first. And then it's like, I always look at these things like where I went wrong. I never ever try to be like, oh, I've done well here. I always try to like pick holes, you know what I mean? So that's saying, I don't know, I think that's a bit of a losing mentality. I think if you win, you should be critiquing yourself. Do you know what I mean? You have to be. You're either evolving this game or you're dying, because there are guys watching your last fight, so you have to be adding skills, you have to be changing up all the time. All the time you have to be adding to your game. So I absolutely learned. What would be the main things? That's a tough one. Experience is a bastard time. When I was like fucking 18 to 21, because when I was amateur in Ireland, like a young kid, I was thrown into the older guys almost immediately. And I used to always say, like, experience is just old people putting a positive twist on being old. But I was so wrong. That's such a stupid kid thing to think. You just can't buy experience. And it wasn't like a UFC jitters. I did not have that at all. I'm good at that. I'm good at performing. It doesn't affect me. So the first round went lapless way. When I went through Cage Wars, I had never lost a pro round in my life, and won every first round on every judge's scorecard, and finished everyone in the second round. And there's a saying, I'm big in the Stoic philosophy. There's a saying that goes, "The path of least resistance is a terrible teacher." Well, fuck, it is. It absolutely is. And to be honest, coming in from that level to the UFC was the path of least resistance. If I'm being honest, Plan A worked every time. I beat everybody the same way. So then it's like, Lapalus has been there. He's 25 pro fights. He's really good. Was he 21-3 or something? I don't know, something like that. 4-1. He just lost the Bastard. 4-1 the UFC was when he fought me, I think. Been about the scene. He won the first round. Then my desperation maybe shines through. Do you know what I mean? In that moment, it's alright to make the correct decision and be relaxed and be calm when everything's going well. But when something's going wrong and you've got this around you, then technique goes and stuff. Because I was kind of thinking, I was like over pushed. I was like, fuck's sake, I just want to hit him. I just want to get him. That's not good. That's not good against a guy like him, especially on the back foot, and he's clever. That's not smart. The setup against better guys, the setup of your punches, the setup of your takedowns, the setup of everything, it has to be better. It has to be cleverer in that environment. It's alright doing it in the gym. It's alright doing it when no one's watching. But when you've got 20,000 fucking Paris men going nuts at you, then is when champions make the right decisions. Do you know what I mean? Just so many wee things, lad, and I'm grateful. I'm honestly grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. I don't have to look too far for inspiration, lad. We literally have won. Well, Tom's interim. We would have literally have won full champion in the UFC from the UK here. I'm an Irishman before anyone gets me, but in the UK, Leon literally lost his debut, won 2 fights, and then drew Kamaru Usman and lost again. Yeah. I would say Merab is probably better than the two boys about to fight tonight. Well, O'Malley could knock him out absolutely, but Merab went 0-2 in the UFC. Yeah. That made him a 7-4 pro. I don't have to look. This is the UFC. Yeah. Lad, look, tonight's UFC 299. There's 7 unbelievable fights. What does that mean? It means 7 very, very high level fighters are coming away with a loss. I mean, this is why we love the UFC. Yeah. So I'm realistic, but I'm also a competitor. I know it's not going to be my last loss. I'm not stupid. If you actually watched my intro before I fought Shanks, I said I'm not undefeated. I've lost an amateur. I don't buy into this at all. I actually said to Matt Serra on Fight Week. I literally said it to him, which is probably manifesting defeat before he even. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But this is the game. If I was to look at a guy like Dustin Poirier tonight and say, "Oh, I'm not going to lose again," he'd just roll my eyes. If I said like, "Now I know the game," he'd roll. You know what I mean? He'd roll his eyes at me. So it's a lot of lessons still to learn, but I'm realistic. But I'm also a competitor, lad. And that was September 2nd. I'm going to be fighting March 30th. We're now in the middle of March. It's not fucking easy walking around on a loss, especially when people meet you. Like, "Oh, you're in the UFC." I'm like, how'd you get on your last fight? "Oh, I lost." And then the conversation energy just changes in my head. It's like, fucking boss thinks I'm shite. That's what I think, which is probably not thinking that, but it's just in my head. But it's the game, lad. But I'm somewhere caught between realistic and knowing that that's our sport and that's how it goes, and being a competitor. But it is what it is, you know what I mean?
You mentioned the 20,000 Parisians there. I want to talk about your last 3 fights, because you go and you fight an Italian, in Italy, a Frenchman in France, and now you're fighting a mid-coaster, or at the very least an American in America. Is there an advantage to fighting on the road? Is that something that you prefer, or is that just incredibly bad luck on your side?
Well, like, I can't say it's bad because I bring the hate upon myself. Like, I rile them up. So I can't. I went to Italy and said Italian MMA shit and French and said the French MMA shit. Which, to be honest, now Paris is probably the hub of European. Even the other night we see like the crowds they're cunts, but they're good. Like, there's no two ways about it. But it's just like, again, I'm big in the Stoic belief. That's like an external. That's something I can't handle. If you're zoned in, you're zoned in. What's happened? It's like fugazi. You shouldn't be affected by that. I love the crack. Like, even like sitting and being home at Christmas and like telling at the pub lads stories of like me even at the weigh-in and there's fucking 1,000 people just giving me the middle finger. I was like, this is just something I'll take to the grave. That was class.
Sorry to interrupt, but can we talk about that? Like, I wanted to ask you about this. Like, you very much took the villain role in that last fight, to a certain extent in the Cage Warriors fight, but definitely in the Lapalus fight. Is that something that was like pre-planned, or is that something that you feel is kind of innate in you? And is this something that you think you will carry on throughout your career?
It's honestly never fake. I just do what feels right, and I knew that the Paris fans were good from the year before. I knew that Lapalus was big there. He was going to be. But I just thought, fuck, I'll go with it, and then it just kept growing. But do you want me to be honest? I'm going to fight a guy from the East Coast here. I know for a fact he hasn't sold a tenth of the tickets. This time I'm not getting, but well, maybe I will by the rest of the crowd. But I think we're first fight going by the UFC website. I'm not sure if that's confirmed yet, but it's going to feel like I'm fighting in Belfast or Dublin. I know for a fact that I'm bringing by far the most people I've ever brought to that fight. Hundreds of people are coming from New York, Philly, and the West Coast. Like, Irishmen already live there, let alone people who are travelling. So, this is going to be different. I feel even the weigh-ins, like, because most people are coming in like the Thursday. So, the last one, I've been the enemy, but I actually feel this time might be the other way around. And I honestly think the UFC should, if I am first fight, I think that's a mistake. I suppose I can't, who am I going to tell Dana and bring low people? He's not going to believe me. Like, but I think it's going to be the other way around this time, lad. Tricolors every direction, you know.
There's a picture when I was preparing to speak with you last night. There was a picture I saw on your Instagram, and as you've got your two fingers up to the Parisian crowd, there's a picture, and in the background, Hunter Campbell is just smiling or laughing. So what I want to know is even in defeating your last fight, given the antics and given the kind of hype that you were able to build around that fight, do you feel like you impressed the UFC Brass to an extent?
Yeah, well, Colin and Hunter, actually when I was walking out, Hunter goes to Colin's like, how do you always get the cunts? Talking about, he goes, how do you always get the cheeky cunts? Talking about Till and Colin just laughed. He says I impressed the right people, but UFC look after you. Like, I said this in a few interviews before, like, I helped save the card for Paris. I could have easily said no, that's too big of a risk, there's no time to prepare, the way John Jones did to Chael, for example. I could have said fuck that, and then what happens? I fight some fucking 17-0 Kazakhstan guy that no one's ever heard before, and you're in the prelims in the Apex. Do you know what I mean? That's it. But I said fuck it, I'll fight anyone. And if this guy, again I'm fighting Pacheco, who's never made bantamweight, he's never fought a bantamweight, if that happens, I'm going to fight whoever the UFC want me to fight, absolutely. Call in Marab, the worst fight in the world. 100% I'll fight him. I swear on my life I'll fight him that date. 100%, no problem. And they've given me Pacheco, not being disrespectful, but like, there probably are harder fights that I could have got. So I said Wonderboy done it to thing, didn't he? Wonderboy didn't. Someone missed weight, and then they give him Shavkat. Yeah. That doesn't sound like an accident to me. You know what I mean? But I think I made the right decision. I know I got a lot of hits online and stuff, but again, lad, I'm a winner. I'm a competitor. I don't want to be like a Kevin Holland or people just laugh at me and I'm getting beat up. I'm here to win in the UFC and get the top of this division. That's it.
Let's talk about Angel Pacheco, as you mentioned there, coming in. He's making his UFC debut. He's obviously coming off the loss despite getting a contract on Dana White Contender Series. So your overall assessment of him, and specifically that fight, where obviously you mentioned he is coming off a loss but is also getting the shot in the big leagues.
Well, firstly, that fight was a bloodbath, a scrap, and his ear was hanging off and he kept fighting. So, like, if that doesn't tell you what's coming, he's a tough Mexican bastard. He's literally everything you would associate with a stereotypical Mexican, really. The way he rips the body, comes up top, a lot of heart. He's essentially an American boxer in MMA. I know he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, but his primary skill set is boxing, and he's got a lot of toughness. Was I impressed with his skill set anywhere in the fight that I watched him? No, was not. Honestly, just being honest, coming in here as a fucking 0-1, like I'm not calling out fucking any guys at the top. I deserve to be fighting the lower guys until I build my record, absolutely. But I was impressed by his heart, not overly impressed by any skill anywhere, from being real. But that's what it is.
Do you feel like having had, you mentioned there about you didn't feel like you had octagon jitters, but do you feel like having had your debut, having been through that, do you feel like that's an advantage and something you can take into this guy who's in the spot that you were in 6 months ago?
It has to be. You know, I said about experience, like you can't buy it. It has to be. But everyone's different. You just get performers. You get when Israel Adesanya came in, he was just like owning it. He's fighting. He was just like mock guys like O'Malley. Just when the lights are on, when it's time to compete. Conor McGregor in his prime, guys just have it. So some guys are gonna get octagon. Again, when McGregor fought fucking Brimage in his debut, like he came out laughing and he's floating. He's so loose. When he's fighting Jose Aldo and he's literally laughing, smiling, saying "Let's go, boy!" Like it's fucking crazy. Some guys just won't get affected by octagon jitter. Some guys won't get affected by the moment. No matter how big, it's just like some guys are made for it. I believe I'm not, but I can't speak for Pacheco that way. But you would imagine it has to play a factor. You know what I mean?
You may or may not know this, but I spend a lot of time in America, and I stay with Calvin Cater and Rob Fonto when I stay over there.
Do you know him?
I know Pacheco. No, I was going to say that I don't know Pacheco, but I know that Pacheco has gone to do his camp with Calvin and Rob, which means that there's a good chance that he may see this interview. So if he does see this interview, if you got a message for him, I'd like you to look down one of those cameras and say, "What's your message to Angel Pacheco?"
I'm 0-1 here, lads. I'm not here to talk shit. I'm an 0-1 bum here. All the best, your training camp, Pacheco. I'm training hard. I'm ready to go. I'm a man on a mission this year, but no shit talk, lad. I actually respect the heart, respect the grit, but I actually do think there's levels to this game, and I do expect to run through him, and anything else is not good enough. If I'm not being honest, not good enough. Because the top guys would, and it's that simple.
It's interesting speaking to you now because you've always had this confidence and this aura around you when I've seen you in other interviews, and obviously this is the first time we spoke. I am feeling like I'm sitting with a slightly more humble Caolan. I'd like to know, just like in a general sense, where does your confidence come from? And have you always been a confident individual, regardless of MMA?
Well, you mentioned Till. Till used to sell a T-shirt, "Humble Confidence," which actually makes no sense. But if you know the game, it actually makes the most sense ever. It's like I actually don't like when people say to me humble. I used to say fuck up, I'm never gonna be humble, because I knew the sport even before I lost. I knew that was coming. But if someone's like, I've got a more and again being over in America, I train with some big UFC names. I know my level. I know how I control UFC bantamweights. I know I'm one of the best bantamweights on the planet. I know that, like I know the sun's gonna rise tomorrow. I also know the sport. I know the UFC bantamweight division is fucking nuts. And if I go this year 3-0, which is my plan, I'm fucking close to a ranked position. Umar's ranked at 4. But that's the game, simple as that. Did it affect my confidence? Not at all. Maybe a wee bit for like a week or two. It's like, actually not even confidence, just irritating. But I've always been a confident guy, lad, even from as an amateur in Ireland, like fighting in a wee gym in my local town. Like I was completely delusional. That why would you be confident? Why would I say I was going to make the UFC? There's nothing. Like I shouldn't have believed that, but I was completely delusional. I think that delusional confidence is like essential for making it in the sport. Like you have to be completely tapped. Like why would I have thought I was going to make it to the UFC? Why would I think I'm going to be UFC champion? Why? I don't know. Why would you think that coming out of Cookstown in Northern Ireland? Like literally nobody from there has ever even fought professional. The coaches have I don't know why I would have thought that, but I never doubted it for 1 second that I would get to here, and I think that's like vital. I think that's vital for whatever you do for like being successful. You know.
A couple more from me, mate, and again, thank you for your time. You mentioned the bantamweight division. Who's the best bantamweight in the world right now?
See, that's this division, lad. That's fucking insane. I'm 0-1. I swear on my life, I believe I'd beat Cheeto Vera tonight. I swear, I can't lie. I swear on my life, he is the. I think I'd beat him. O'Malley's tough fight. He could knock me out. Marab would destroy both. Corey beat Cheeto very easily. I think he would beat Sean. Piotr Jan beat Sean, in my opinion, although Sean got the win. Corey's this division is like fucking throw a dice. Who's going to roll up? That's what makes it so exciting. I believe lightweight is the highest level, but I think bantamweight is so competitive. Anyone could win on any given night. That Umar's coming up. Could he beat? He could, absolutely. If in an answer right now, I would say Marab is probably the hardest one to beat. He's the hardest to prepare for being honest.
100%. It's interesting. I want to bring you back to a conversation that I had with Oban Elliott a couple of weeks ago before his UFC debut. He is, yeah. I said to Oban, there's something to be said about you making your debut on the undercard of a UFC pay-per-view, because we've almost got this 3-tiered system now of pay-per-views, fight nights with fans, Apex shows. You've gone from a fight night in Paris to a fight night in Atlantic City. You have this. A lot of guys spend 2 or 3, 4, if not more, fights fighting in the Apex, where they've certainly put a level of confidence in you to fight in those arenas. Do you feel like the UFC, do you look at that as a statement from the UFC that they know what you could potentially be in, especially when we talk about homecomings back to Ireland, of what you could potentially do there as well?
I bring the numbers, lad. You can't lie to me. Even from everything I've done from a fought Shanks, I've got 1 million odd views on something I've done. So you can't lie. You can't argue with me there. I bring numbers, and this time I'm bringing numbers in terms of fans. I'm bringing a few hundred Irish people, so that's cool. But I know absolutely. It's good to be on these fight nights, because obviously because of COVID and the Apex shows, when they go to these crowds now, there's insane atmospheres because everyone's crying out for the UFC to come to their town. So it's cool on my behalf, but I look at the matchmaking that they're giving me. The Gamori, obviously it happened on fight week that I fucking fought Lapras, but Gamori and now Pacheco, I think they understand that I'm still early doors in this game, but there's definitely a future in me. I think that's evident to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. How close do you think we are to a return to Ireland for the UFC?
Honestly, I don't know. They keep talking about Manchester in July. That would work for me because it's easy for people. But I hope so. Obviously, I'm 0-1. I'm not bringing him to the UFC Dublin this year. It has to be with Ian, doesn't it? Yeah. If Ian keeps winning, I know he's calling out Kobe. That's I think he beat Kobe now. To be honest, Kobe's not Kobe, essentially. He doesn't wrestle the way he used to. I think he's just basically become a kickboxer. I think Ian would take Kobe handily enough. Do I see that happen in Dublin? Absolutely no chance. I don't see Kobe coming to Dublin. If he wins summertime, I'm very hopeful for a Dublin in December. I could be my 3rd fight this year. I hope so, lad. It would be literally a young lad dream come true, like me watching McGregor against Brandao in 2014. That was like, I believe so, yeah. Me being in school, like if I could talk to that kid that I was in school that I was going to be in UFC Dublin, literally dreams coming true. So I hope so, lad. I hope so.
Last one from me, mate. What I'd like you to do is give me a walkthrough of the perfect fight day on the 30th of March. I'd like you to know what happens when you wake up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night in Atlantic City.
I'm on a loss, so maybe this time it'll be different, but what it's always been for me, like I just wake up. I always sleep really, really well because I don't sleep the night before with a weight cut. So when it comes to the night of the fight, I sleep like 10 hours nearly. I just wake up, whatever time I wake up, no alarms. We stretch out, drink some water, and then I usually go straight and do a light workout, something very easy, just to activate my body and my mind. I think I'm on first here, so maybe I have to do it a wee bit earlier. Chill, fucking take a walk up the boardwalk in Atlantic City. What a life. Go hit the arena, get a feel for it, fucking take in the air, look at the crowd, warm up, and knock Angel Pacheco clean out in the first round. That's honestly, that's what I'm thinking. Knock him clean out in the first round, straight through him, and then go find a fucking Irish bar in Atlantic City with 200 Irish people. Do you know what I mean? That sounds like a good Saturday to me, if that all goes to plan. That's honestly what I expect to happen, dude. That's what I expect to happen.
I love it. Caolan, great to sit down and chat, mate. It's been a long time coming. Have a great rest of your fight camp. Best of luck for the fight.
Thank you very much, brother. Anytime. Thank you.